This is Confessions of a Selfish Bitch, the podcast where you stop abandoning yourself and start living the life that you've been sacrificing for everyone else's comfort. I'm your host, Cher. After decades of watching thousands of women shrink, dim, and call self-sacrifice love, I learned the truth. Choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's sacred. Here, we get honest. We talk forgiveness that actually frees you, responsibility that empowers you, and the shadow work that changes everything. Take a breath, and let's begin. Welcome, welcome. Let's get settled in, shall we? Welcome, my bitches. Eventually, at some point, we're going to get so comfortable together that I'm literally going to open every episode with, "What's up, my bitches?" I don't know if we're there yet, but maybe we are. So, today's episode, I call If, When, Then I'll Be Happy. If I get that promotion, when I get that relationship, then I'll be happy. If I get that house, if I, just add, think about it, take a pause this and think, what am I saying? If I get this, if this happens, then I'll be happy. When that happens, then I'll be happy. When my partner, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, whatever it is that you have going on, does this, communicates this way, acts this way, does this without me needing to tell them, then I'll be happy. What in your life are you waiting to happen so you can be happy? What are you giving all of your power to so you can then be happy? Here's what happens with that mess. Okay, first of all, let me say I used to live that way too, especially in my relationships. When my boyfriend acts this way, then I'll be happy. When my husband changes this, then I'll be happy. When we have this amount of money, then I'll be happy. When I have my next child, then I'll be happy, right? Okay, I did that too. Here's the thing, and this is the intense confession. It's selfish. It's actually selfish behavior. Okay, let me rephrase that. It leads to selfish behavior because it sets up transactional relationships. When my boss acknowledges my work, then I'll be happy. When my coworker sitting next to me stops sniffling so much and does something to take care of their allergies because they're annoying, then I'll be happy. You see, it becomes transactional. Furthermore, you are literally handing your power on a silver platter to that person, that circumstance, that situation that you actually have no control over. The only person that you have any control over, questionable, is yourself. This is actual and factual. So when you are living this, if when, then I'll be happy, you're setting yourself and all of your relationships up for failure, and it leads to selfish behavior and a burden, especially in your personal relationships. Like, think about it this way, right? You get into a relationship saying, when I get that relationship, I'm going to be happy. In other words, when that person does all of the things that I want them to do the way that I want them to do it, then I'll be happy. And when they don't, I won't be happy, I'll be miserable. So not only are you setting up a transactional relationship, but you're a burden. When somebody else's happiness and comfort is dependent upon you, because, right, it goes both ways. Well, you're not acting a certain way, now I'm not happy. You need to change what you're doing for my comfort. You need to change your communication. You need to stop doing the things that you love doing that make you happy and bring you peace, because it takes you away from me too much, and it's not right and it's not fair because I don't have as much going on in my life, and that's not fair. Well, let me tell you about fair. Fair is bullshit. Fair according to whom? Fair according to whom? And why should anybody stop doing what they love, what they need for your comfort and happiness? Now, here's the thing. Oh, this goes deep, girlfriend. This goes so deep. Okay, first of all, if they're triggering you, when somebody is triggering you, it's not a message to the world, to that person, to that element, that external situation that's happening to change. That trigger is information that you have something inside of you that you need to heal, that you need to evolve from, that you even need to consider. I mean, listen, how often do you sacrifice your fundamental core values for a relationship to not rock the boat? Or because they're triggering your values, the person you're in relationship with. Now, remember, anytime we're talking about relationship, I mean, romantic relationships are the obvious because those are directly brought into our life as tools, as situations, as experiences to give us the opportunity to heal, to evolve, to grow as human beings. They are our karmic journey partners. And they're not supposed to show up and make everything in your life just so you never feel an emotion, anything other than happiness. That's bullshit. And it's not the human experience. When you look at the noble truths in Buddhism, all of life is suffering because you care, because you love. If you didn't care and didn't love, you wouldn't suffer anymore. And you'd also be a sociopath. But the problem is that we decide in our minds, in our own personal minds, so now it's completely subjective and a matter of opinion. Just because you have decided how something should be in your mind doesn't mean it's how it should be. Now, the interesting thing is we will collect people around us who share that same opinion and then call them our soulmates because they support that opinion, even if and when that opinion is causing you suffering and pain, because it is. Even when that need for something to be an oh so specific way, for somebody to behave in an oh so specific way is causing you pain and suffering, and then causing them pain and suffering. So it's actually selfish behavior. It's such a crazy, loopy, slippery slope how all of this happens, but it's true. So we go into this space of a few things are happening here. When we start to approach a true spiritual lifestyle, so not this spiritual bypassing nonsense that we speak spirituality and we speak triggers and we speak boundaries, which is all nonsense, you guys. And we're going to get to boundaries and we're going to go deeper into triggers. Don't worry, those are each standalone episodes, probably multiple. But for now, we're still in this transactional relationship space and how it's very selfish. The opposite of, right, confessions of a selfish bitch, selfish, meaning I need to do what's right and best for me. So what does that look like? So the confession is I participate in transactional relationships. I have expectations, I have decisions of how things should be, and when people don't fulfill them, I'm unhappy, and it's their job to make me happy, but they're not making me happy. So now I'm triggered, so they're the problem, not me. And I'm a selfish human being, because it is actually selfish behavior. The shadow behind it is that selfishness, is that transactional relationship behavior. And we don't tend to want to look at our shadows. Let's just call it out like it is. We don't want to look at our shadows. We want to point fingers at everybody else and why they're behaving a certain way and why they're not behaving a certain way and what they should be doing and what they're not doing. And that whole should thing, stop shoulding all over me. That's like one of my mottos in life. Stop shoulding all over me. Learn it, know it, own it, but then stop shoulding all over other people. You should this, you should that, you should this, because that's all for your comfort. It's not taking them into consideration. So here's what this lovely journey taught me, this is where it gets really interesting. You'll actually be called, okay, so when you're participating in that and you're in a relationship with somebody who is also participating in those if, when, then I'll be happy expectations, because it goes both ways. It's not just your if, when, then. It's the person across from you, their if, when, then. And now they come together and they collide, and it's a big giant shit show. And now everybody's upset and everybody's pissed off. And here we are in the battle of the wills of who's right and who's wrong. And you gather all of your people who prove you right, and they gather all of their people who prove them right. And everybody's suffering. And you're a selfish bitch. And they're selfish. And now everybody's selfish, except for that you actually are. Okay, so where do we go with this? The reality of this situation, my darling, 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 wonderful, beautiful friend, is that the only person who is responsible for your happiness is you. The only thing that you can look at and find your happiness is in what exactly exists in this moment. Nothing else. Anything else, you're walking into suffering. Anything else, you're walking into expectation. It's a very difficult at first reality to be able to live, much less wrap your brain around it and embrace. It's not easy. And I've found in my own life that I oscillate. Sometimes I am in it and I am able to just look around me and love what I already have. And sometimes I get so wrapped up in what I should be doing and what my boyfriend should be doing and what my kids should be doing and what my ex-husbands should be doing and what society should be doing and what, politics should be doing and all of the shoulds. And I'm shitting all over the place and I'm making a mess because now I'm suffering and I'm miserable. And so at a certain point there was a point after my second divorce, and that whole situation is going to be another episode or 10 also, because that was really when I entered into the truest dark night of the soul that I've ever walked into. And what stopped me from going more deeply into it or repeating the pattern, repeating the behaviors that were resulting in the same outcomes, right? Because I shared with you in the intro, I've been married and divorced twice. What changed was me recognizing that I was the common factor. And again, I'm not going to get into what happened in those marriages because that really is a whole nother episode, and there's so many lessons that came out of it. I don't even know where to begin with all of them. What I learned with I'm the common factor is also my happiness is my responsibility and mine alone. And it wasn't the first time that I had been there. I mean, I started that path back in my early teen years in my battles with my mom, my power battles, my power struggles with my mother, and said, I'm going to do things my way because that is what makes me happy. And it's so interesting because then I was approaching it and I really was being very selfish with my mom in some ways. And in many ways, I really wasn't at all. And it's so interesting because when people pass, my mom has passed. And when they do, we sometimes rewrite the story and make them a saint and change the story to be something else. Like my mom and I struggled. And I believe with all of my heart and soul that my mom suffered in this life. Part of her suffering and me choosing her as my mom and my dad as my dad, my parents, was so that I could heal some karmic lessons from past lives. I believe very much in that we have many lives. I don't know where it begins and it ends, but I just have this sense and I believe in that. So whether you do or you do not is totally your choice. So let's jump back to after my second divorce, or while I was in the process of it, I realized I was the common factor, and my happiness was my responsibility, because in my relationships, in my marriages, and in many other areas, many other types of relationships in my life, whether it was professional and friendships and whatever, I tried to shapeshift myself into what I believed I should have been. And it didn't work out. It broke me every time. I wound up lost. I wound up confused. Maybe you can relate to this. I'm going to bet if you're like at least in your 40s and up, you could definitely point out some times in your life that you've been like, yeah, that did not work out so well for me. So here's what's so interesting. So transactional relationships, when you're expecting somebody to behave a certain way, is actually selfish behavior. But when you flip the script and you say, I'm responsible for my own happiness, and so I am going to get established in that before I have any expectations of anybody of doing anything, which again, expectations are bullshit. You really need to exercise. I mean, you don't need to anything, do what you want. I highly recommend you exercise your ability to lay down your expectations. How that happens is by connecting with somebody, aligning with people in your life who have shared values. Now, let me ask you a question before I continue. Do you know what your values are? Do you know what your core values are? Do you know what core values are? Do you know what they are? I'm not going to go deep into that because you guessed it. It'll be another episode. But I want you to research and I want you to journal, and it doesn't matter what I want. I invite you to explore what your values are so that you know what you're willing to compromise and what you're absolutely not. This is where we start to get into what actual boundaries are. Those lines in the sand, because sand is very malleable. A wind blows and the line changes. But when you understand your fundamental values, that line of, I can't do that for you. I can't change that for you. I cannot sacrifice that for you because I will then be unhappy. And it's not your job to make me happy. I can't give that power to you and you don't want it. It will become a burden. And then as soon as you do something that I'm not happy with, that is not serving that I need to be happy, we're going to have a problem. So I can't give that up for you. Are you understanding what I'm saying here? You need to understand what you fundamentally need from you. So a way to do this is, okay, sure, you can go into Google or your AI buddy and say, give me a list of some values. Like, you can't really think about what values are. And you go through that list and you're like, okay, check, 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 check. These are all very, very important to me. And I'm not willing to compromise on these. And you live them and you follow them in your life without even thinking about it. And you think about how you show up with those values in your life. And then you look at what you feel that you're missing in your life that you are trying to fill in with those if when, then I'll be happy things. What is it that you feel that you're missing? What is it that you feel that you've given up? What does it feel that you feel that you've sacrificed, that you have this hole in yourself that you are just not happy without? And how can you fulfill or provide that is not dependent upon anybody else? Furthermore, we go through life collecting, cherishing, holding on to, and identifying with all of the hurtful things that have happened to us. We do that. We are a treasure trove of all of the things that we feel have happened to us, of all of the negative things, of all of the pains, and we will hang our hat on those things and identify as those pains, as that suffering. But what about everything else? What about everything that is going beautifully? What about what you do have in your life? What about the people who do love you? What about love for yourself? What about that? And we don't pay attention to any of that. I mean, sure, we'll do our gratitude journal, and that's bullshit. I'm sorry. Like, I am so, look, I've been teaching yoga and meditation and spiritual healing and growth for over 25 years. My grandmother was a kahuna. She was a spiritual healer. It's like you read my astrology and it's like you go into my Akashic records. Like this is just what I am and who I am and what I do and how I read. And I can see and I can perceive and I know things deeper, much, infinitely deeper than what's on the surface. And I'm telling you that having to stop every day and force yourself to write down the things that you're grateful for in your life, that we all put that practice on such a pedestal like it's something so wonderful, I call bullshit. Why does that have to be a special practice? Why isn't that the baseline? Why? Why do we have to stop ourselves and really think about it and what we appreciate about it instead of tuning our vision, our awareness, our consciousness to focus on the good in people, on the good in our world, on the good in our environment, on the good in our bodies, in our minds, in our breath, in the fact that we woke up today? You see what I'm saying? So it's your responsibility to make yourself happy. It's my responsibility to make myself happy too. Don't worry, I'm not pointing any fingers at you. You have every right to just go right ahead and push off and be like, I am so tired listening to her. No problem. But I am here to tell you that expecting anyone or anything else to make you happy, that every time you live that, if, when, then I'll be happy, you are setting yourself up for suffering. You are setting your relationship partners, friendships, family, romantic relationships, work relationships up for failure. You're a burden, and it's selfish. Now, this is where I was going to, and I'm gonna find my way there. I have been called a selfish bitch more often in response to me taking care of myself and protecting my happiness than when I was living in transactional relationships. Isn't that interesting? I find that to be so freaking interesting. I mean, I really do. Because most people participate in transactional relationships and they don't want to be held accountable to the fact that they're doing it. So when you're living for yourself saying, hey, I can't give up my Monday line dance sessions for you. They make me happy. I need that in my life. I don't want to, one of my ex-husbands would get upset with me because I was binge reading the Twilight books, because I couldn't sleep, because I had handed over my complete and total happiness to him. Whatever he decided was best for our family was what we were going to do. Whatever he needed was prioritized. And so here I was at 1:00 in the morning because I was slowly eating away at myself, giving myself away, losing myself. I mean, it really was astounding. And so I would dive into escapism by reading these books, and he would get mad at me. So I would stop reading the books and go to bed and lie awake in my head, suffering for his comfort, instead of saying, I can't do that for you. I'm going to lie here on the couch and read my teenage vampire werewolf, Team Edward, by the way, because this is what I need. And whenever I would stand up to that, I was branded a selfish bitch. So it is going to happen that when you cherish and you protect whatever it is that you need for your fundamental happiness, you're very likely going to be called a selfish bitch. And that's an opportunity for you to choose, to assess, to evaluate if you are in a relationship of common shared values. And that's more important than anything. Somebody who says to you, I know that you need that, and I know that you love that, and I know that that is essential for your happiness, but it bothers me, so I need you to not do it, isn't somebody who loves you. Not really. There's somebody who you are in a codependent, I couldn't think of what it's called, codependent transactional relationship with. Okay? So I invite you, I really do. I invite you to do a few things here. Number one, really sit down, meditate, research, understand what values are. Look, it's not like it's a homework assignment that you're going to sit down and make a list to be like, these are my values. Like, it's going to be an evolving process. You're going to be like, well, that's really not that important to me. And that is. And that's the other amazing thing that happens, you guys. Oh my God. Like, this is such a key point. When you start respecting what makes you happy, you can start respecting what makes somebody else happy with such greater ease. And the things that used to upset you, you're going to find yourself stopping and asking yourself, do I really need that? Or is that something I'm hung up on? Do I really need to hold to that boundary? Or did I just collect a miserable experience from a past relationship that now I'm bringing into this relationship? And even though this person isn't doing that, I'm self-protecting, even though that action isn't happening, and bringing it all back here and now and punishing them. And now everybody is suffering. And I sound hysterical, don't I? Because that's what we do. So you'll find yourself, when you take this journey, reevaluating the things that you actually make issue of in your relationship. And instead of going instantly into the finger pointing portion of the program, you're going to turn that finger onto yourself first and take pause. Do I really need this? Is this part of my core values? Am I trying to control this person? Am I punishing them because of how that friend hurt me? Am I setting up expectations based on my last job? And the answer to those are very likely going to be yes, that you're not here now. Be here now. Be here now. Be here now with yourself in this moment. Take a breath. Self-reflect. What do you need? And how can you provide it for yourself? Okay. One of my spotlights just went out, which means I've been rambling on and on. I'm not wearing my glasses, so I can't see how long I've been chatting for. I think it's about time to pause this episode, say ciao for now. Listen, drop me an email, hello@chermelly.com. I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear your questions. I want to hear your conundrums. I want to hear what doesn't land for you, and I'll speak to it on an episode. I'm going to start doing little mini-sodes with practices for you that will help you lean into this self-prioritization lifestyle that I dare you to embrace. And I dare you to prove me wrong that it isn't fabulous. Okay. Mwah. I love you. I look forward to your email, and see you later, bitches. Bye. Thank you for being here with me. If something in this episode stirred clarity, discomfort, or recognition, let it. You don't need to rush to resolve it. Integration happens in its own time. And don't forget the mini-sodes. They offer simple yet practical tools to help you integrate what we explore here. Now, if you're navigating a season of transition in relationships, identity shifts, or decisions that call for clarity, grounded perspective, and honest reflection, I do work privately with a small number of women. That information is in the show notes if and when it feels right for you. And if there's a situation you're wrestling with and want a fresh, real life, no bullshit, ride or die best friend perspective on, you're welcome to email me at hello@chermelly.com. I read every message, and I'll do my best to explore it in a future episode or companion minisode. Now, if this resonated, please follow, like, subscribe, and definitely share it with someone who might need to hear it. Take good care of yourself. I'll meet you back here soon. With love. Ciao for now.